The motivation to do something of your own was not to make money. I made no money.
So you have one boss when you are working in the corporate, and if you want 100 bosses, starting up is the thing for you.
I think it's a common thing we all Indian kids growing up do.
I think one common theme has been that generally the trust factor when it comes to co-founder is it's more or less it's a friend with which you start.
So trust is important, yes, but to understand if a particular person or your friend or your colleague is a founder material or you yourself are founder material, I think only time can tell that.
After that, reading that poem, it has stuck to me, and I always try to take the road not taken.
But I think one thing that we as a founding team have got is we have not given up.
I think not giving up is absolutely the number one criteria.
Solving a problem and making money are two different things. One need to answer is what do you want to do first?
Hi everyone, welcome to the third episode of the PA podcast. And today we have a bit different theme. So far in the first two episodes, we are discussing about the career opportunities available. First was career opportunities for MBA. Second episode was career opportunities in the grassroots. And we will keep doing similar episodes in terms of career opportunities in digital marketing, then sales, sponsorship, talent. But today we thought that, since downturn is going on and we need more and more entrepreneurs, more job creators than job seekers. So why not to bring in a few entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, and still doing it, and see their perspective in terms of how easy or difficult it is to start up in the sports industry compared to the others. So please welcome Siddhant from Sportvote and Arko from the stealth mode. Hi Siddhant, hi Arko.
Hi.
So just
Hello.
I will briefly introduce both of them and then they will do their introduction. So first Arko I know him for almost a year. We met for the first time in Bangalore and he's someone who basically has been hustling for last 4 or 5 years in sports tech, specifically on the analytics side, how we can make sense of the sports and sporting data. And he's someone who knows everyone, so I call him the Narad Muni by just for the sake of it, because he knows everyone and more or less everything which is happening in the Indian sports tech scene. And Siddhant, although I don't know him for like very long, but we have interacted multiple times during last 2 months, and I think now I feel that I know him for more than 4 or 5 years. So now over to Siddhant. Siddhant, if you can take us through how has your let's say briefly introduce yourself, and then if you can take us through your journey, the journey of Sportvote, and then Arco can do the same. Over to you, Siddhant.
Sure. Thanks, Anand. So, first, I'm one of the founders of Sportwort, as Anand mentioned. Yeah, my background is from I'm like everyone today who's trying to be an entrepreneur has some sort of engineering roots. So I have also the same. I graduated back in 2012 from Indira Gandhi College of Engineering in Navi Mumbai. Then I started working in Oracle right after college. Worked there as a software engineer for about 3 years. Then joined a fintech startup called Cashcare. This was back in 2015 when there was no fintech as such. People used to call us crazy when we were giving loans to people on just social profile and quick instant and secured personal loans. So yeah, that's a fun time. So worked there for about 3 years, and then I started my own gaming platform, which was focused more on the English Premier League, very much like Fantasy Premier League, but sort of a slightly different model to the Fantasy Premier League. And yeah, we ran that for about a year and a half. It started off as a fun thing between a friend of mine and myself, and we scaled off pretty decent. We had Nazara Games as one of our distributors of the game as well. Um, but yeah, late 2019, I exited that, and in in no, sort of early 2019 is when I left that, and late 2019 is when we started Sport World. So that's been my journey with coming to whatever we are doing with sport. Now, a bit about Sport World. Yeah, so if I have to summarize Sport World for anyone, it's a digital platform that lets sports bodies, tournament organizers live stream their sports matches and helps discover talent from the grassroots of India. So, what we are really looking to solve for is the massive problem that we see in live video capture, particularly in sports, which leads to over 99% of sports matches not being live telecast or live broadcasted or live streamed, whatever you call it today. We essentially address that problem, and through that we do a lot more than just live video capture. But yeah, that's what we do at Sportvote. Today we are closing on 100,000 matches live streamed across India and few other countries in the world as well. And yeah, that's about Sportvote.
Yeah, that's impressive. So basically, you have done fintech, you have done gaming, and now you are trying to solve for sports using technology. That's very nice. Over to you,
Yeah,
Arko.
So, thanks, Siddhant, for your introduction, and thanks, Anand. Pretty interesting journey, Siddhant. I wasn't aware about your gaming background, so would love to catch up and talk about those experiences, maybe the
for
conversation
sure.
itself. Um, Coming to my journey, so like as Siddhant mentioned, like every startup founder, we do engineering first. I think it's a common thing we all Indian kids growing up do. So I did my engineering and passed out in 2016, and then I went for my MBA. I did my MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Raipur. And during the time, like when I was prepping for my MBA, India was hosting the first FIFA under 17 World Cup, FIFA event in India. India was hosting FIFA under 17 World Cup. So I always have been a lifelong sports fan and actively played at university level. So the idea was always to try to do something in sports, and the under 17 World Cup was a catalyst. Uh, Back then, not many sports management education courses were there in the country, and I reached out to few industry people, and I was suggested to go for an MBA, and like then I foray into sports somehow. So that was my first triest like interest, or how I wanted to get into sports. uh, Fast forward, during my MBA days, I started off with my first startup with a batchmate of mine, which was into a fitness tech space. And it was mostly on a very small scale, and we were just working out of the city of Raipur. We did get some good accolades, mostly on the validation and some traction with our early business model. And we represented India also in the Global Startup World Cup. But that was my first try with entrepreneurship. So sports happened to me, like interest in sports happened to me like in 2016 around, and then touched with entrepreneurship in around 2018. And then fast forward, those founders deviated to healthcare, and I started off with my own first venture. So it was called Sportifan. So we started Sportifan somewhere around mid of 2019. And back then, it was nothing related to sports tech. Everyone who aspires to work in sports or create some business out of sports starts off with an agency business or a marketing business. So we were working on the content marketing part, and we acted as a bridge between organizations, clubs, franchises, etc. from the West trying to enter Indian market. And we worked with big brands like Juventus, Leeds United, to name a few, Everton, etc. So we were helping them out with market research, content marketing, etc. And it went around. It started off well for the first one and a half year, and somewhere around mid of 2020 during the lockdown, the all the my thought processes of building something in the tech space came up. So that was my first uh, idea of getting into sports tech. And back then we built two other technologies, and the sports analytics part thing is comparatively new. We started like 1.5 2 years ago. And yeah, founders exited, founders got poached uh, here and there. It has been a rough journey, but for the last 1.5 years, have been working focusing on this particular tech. And currently, the idea is to use computer vision as an technology for performance analytics, not just in the grassroots and scouting space. Also, we are trying ways to introduce it into the amateurs area of sports. Uh, the idea is to improve active lifestyle and active participation in sports rather than focusing on the professional side of things. So that's the area, primary area we want to target, and secondary being the scouting side of things. So that's what we have been up to currently. We are piloting, we are beta testing our product, and after breaking and remaking the team of now and then. And we did make some money from the previous consulting business. And so hence we have been bootstrapping till now. And so yeah, that's our journey. And I will share more in the conversation and as the time goes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think one this computer vision is something which I have been hearing a lot about since I started interacting with the sports tech founders, and we'll come to it. But
Mhm.
prior to that, let's see. Like basically, we have talked about, like, let's say both of you, like Siddhant, first worked for almost 5 years in the corporate, and then started out with a friend. For you also, so I think one common theme has been that generally the trust factor when it comes to co-founder is it's more or less it's a friend with which you start. Obviously, there is a pitfall, positive or negative of both. But I will come to, like, let's say, because Arko, you mentioned about your first tryst with entrepreneurship, right? So I would like to understand a bit more about the founder mindset from both of you. Like, what is it which differentiates the founder from a normal person, right? So, Siddhant, if you can go first.
It's hard to find, um like if you so I'll give you one experience of what, like, when I mentioned that we ran a gaming company prior to Sport World. So the founders, like me and the two co-founders, like me and my co-founder, we were not friends. We met each other to, start something. We started talking to each other. We spoke about for a year. We had common interests, and we started to sort of build a rapport with each other. And then we started whatever we started. So trust is important, yes, but to understand if a particular person or your friend or your colleague is a founder material, or you yourself are founder material, I think only time can tell that. But there are certain elements that you can look for, and one such element is the sheer ability to not give up. I think that is one of the most underrated skills of being a founder. It's not your intelligence, it's not the genius, but the ability to not give up. I have been asked this question a lot of times. In whatever little I can say, I don't know how successful we will be in the future, but I think one thing that we as a founding team have got is we have not given up so far. And I think that is one of the biggest elements of being a founder, is the ability to sort of do and pursue the same stuff again and again. Of course, sometimes it's you need to know when to quit also, but
Yeah,
you will feel like quitting every single day. I don't think any company has a rosy ride or has something which is very easy for people. I think everyone has their own challenges. Every company goes through their own sets of ups and downs. And not giving up is one of the most underrated skills I feel. And I think that is one of the things that you should look at when you're trying to understand a founder. And this you'll only know with time.
with
But
time. Yeah,
if you know someone for if you or he or she has been your friend for a few years, you might know something about, you might know this quality about them, that यार ये तो भाग जाती है difficult situation में, या भाग जाता है difficult situation. So I think that is one of my key maybe skills, underrated skills I should say. Yeah, that I feel we
yeah,
should have.
definitely. Yeah, that's interesting. And I will also share my experience. But before that, Arko, if you can take the same,
Sure,
answer the same question.
sure. So I do echo Siddhant's point. Like perseverance is the key ingredient in a founder to succeed. We both have started a journey. We have taken few steps. steps. I don't think, I won't say I am successful yet, and Siddhant also said the same. So at least we have one thing in common between us both. We have had perseverance. We are striving for the thing. So waking up every day and having that motivation to change things, because giving up is very easy comparatively. So yeah, that's one point I totally agree to. And now coming to, I will tackle this question from a different point of view. How to start up? When do you know to start up? And I assume that's the question you asked. So I'm taking from that point of view. So
Yeah, sure,
see,
sure.
different people can have different motivation to start. Uh, Someone can start up for they might feel that I am undervalued at my current corporate role, or I am underutilizing, going via that corporate route. So they want to explore and they want to do more with their time. That's one drive. They don't want to be part of corporate and they want that freedom. That's one drive. For few people, it's about making money, which is a very fair and good motivation to have. A lot of people don't understand it. For some people, it's about creating a change. So they saw a problem and tackling that change. And there can be mix and match of multiple modes. I will just share my journey. So like for me, my motivation was, I never had problem with corporate. Or like I wanted the freedom, nothing like that. So I just wanted to work in sports. And back then, whatever the CTC I from campus, the opportunities in sports were like one third of it, or CTCs were one third, or rather at max half. So I just thought that there can be something I can create an opportunity out of this industry. I will learn the know-hows, and I had the cushion to, and some comfort and trust in my abilities to start, and that's how I started. Yes, I did make few mistakes along the learning and few success here and there, but the key point for everyone whomsoever want to start up is to answer very diligently and honest to oneself. Why do you want to do a startup? That's the question a lot of people don't know answer. Just because my friend started, just because they saw someone succeeding, that's not an reason enough. So yeah, answering that, once you
Yeah.
have that answer to your that question, you should start up. And there's no right time or wrong time. You can start as a fresher, you can start after 20 years of experience. There's no right or wrong time. It's the timing is all about what suits you, what suits your personal journey. Never compare your journey with someone else's. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, so I think very, very good points. Just to summarize, I think in terms of looking for founder or looking for whether you are a founder material, I think trust, perseverance, not giving up, and those are a few qualities. And then I think motives, I will come to Siddhant as well, that the why, like generally they say that your why determines how far you will go, right? And till when will you, let's say, struggle or persevere to achieve your goal. But on coming up to not giving up, because see, for me, there were two options, right? Either I would have started up, if but I haven't done that formally so far. I have been in the corporate for almost 6.5, 7 years. But I got an opportunity to become a co-founder almost 4 years back. But at that point in time, I just joined my dream job in sports at Mumbai Indians, and I took the other route, which is the investment route. And so far, I invested in 7 companies, 5 of others and 2 of mine. And the main thing, and so far I haven't got exit from any of these companies. And whenever anyone asks me, especially it's generally the family, right? And whenever you are trying to invest in the seventh is becoming eighth or ninth or 10th, they are like, just tell me when is the first going to give returns. And I'm like, see, the founders are still at it, they are still working, they haven't given up. If they are ready to, the opportunity cost which we talk about, right? If let's say if the company is not making money for the investor, it's not making money for the founder as well. So if the founder is ready to put the hard yards in terms of the opportunity cost, letting go of that, like let's say good corporate salary, then I think an investor should also be okay with that. So I think my simple point from here is that none of the founders in which whom I have invested, they have not given up so far. So I think not giving up is absolutely the number one criteria. So now coming back again, Siddhant, you told us about your journey, but what was the point? Like, what was the why? What is the why of your journey? Why have you started up? And then second question will be why specifically in sports? I know the answer to the second one for both of you, but again, I would like to hear it from your mouth.
Why I decided to start up, I don't know the final answer to this. Like, I will not know the 100% accurate answer to this ever. But I think it was somewhere there. I think since forever, maybe since I had some sense of what I wanted to do. It was not that, of course, I wanted to do a particular thing, but there was some sense of understanding of wanting to do something of your own, and that was there since the very beginning of my maybe early engineering days, even before that, I guess my 11th and 12th grade, I think somewhere there you had that sense of doing something of your own. But the motivation to do something of your own was not to make money. I made no money yet as a startup founder, and the returns to making money, the timeline of making or getting returns as a startup founder for any, even the biggest of the biggest companies, barring a few one or two exceptions, there is a timeline. You have certain number of years that you have to spend. So corporate would have given you or will give you money faster today. So whoever thinks that they want to earn more money, quick money, and want to start up, firstly, that is wrong. Second is
Absolutely.
you are not your own bosses. It's not like I want to. That is not your junior most intern is your boss. Okay. To your
Yeah,
customer, to your investor, everyone is your boss. You are the most obliging, and as a founder, or like the three of us are, we are doing. Acha, you want this? Acha, you want that? Okay, let me try to do that for you. So,
yeah,
so whys for me were never these two. My why was primarily to have something, to build something of my own. That was my only motivation.
understood.
Now, why did I pick sports? I say this very often, but that is something that I am very good at, understanding and reading, analyzing sports in general. I am not very good at playing, maybe. Was decent at playing one or two sports, decent enough to go to certain levels of sport, but not be a national or international player at that. But leaving all that aside, I think I'm why sports was one of the reasons, like I mentioned, I'm good at understanding or analyzing in general, talking about sport, consuming sports, how it should be consumed. They have some understanding of that. And we seriously saw a problem initially with talent scouting, talent discovery. So a lot of motivations
Yeah,
came from a few games that I've played in the past, football manager and games like that, how well they are structured in terms of data, and the plethora of the biggest repository of football players maybe that someone might have is that game, with futuristic predictions also on some players. So I was very inspired by that, in particular, and that made me build something which is somewhere in the intersection of consumption and data, which is what we are doing today
yeah.
with Sportboard. Um, so yeah, somewhere between that. So that was one of our motivations, or one of my biggest motivations behind doing what we are doing is this consumption and data, somewhere between that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think one point which I would have wanted to, let's say, contradict to Arco's point of view, the freedom which Siddhant has done it, because I think I completely agree with Siddhant because I haven't done it formally, but informally I have been involved in couple of startups. And yes, the junior most intern. So you have one boss when you are working in the corporate, and if you want 100 bosses, starting up is the thing for you. So so from that, Arco, for you, why sports tech?
Sure. So I somehow covered the answer in the
Yeah.
previous answer, but I will just articulate it. So first question, why I wanted to start up, and
No,
second
no,
question
that
is
I think
why.
you covered. So sorry to interrupt. I think more specifically on why sports tech. You covered it, but
Fair enough.
still just one line answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Why startup? Like, as I mentioned, looking for an opportunity, wanted to just, I thought I am suitable for it. I just started. And one thing I will just say, add, so I have been like, there has been one line that has been stuck to my personal belief growing up. So there's this poem from by Robert Frost, Road Not Taken. So I have been, after that, reading that poem, it has stuck to me, and I always try to take the road not taken. So that was one of the things, reasons why startup enticed me. And coming to why sports, so I will tell you my long-term vision, as an individual person, like where I want uh, my country to be. So I want to help my country play in the FIFA World Cup. So that's something which has stuck to me ever since I understood that there is a concept of writing bid document, hosting an event, etc. So the first idea was I would help India write the bid document to host the FIFA game. I can't play, I can't do scouting, etc. But that was the initial thought process. So how to see my country play in the uh, FIFA World Cup was my first drive. Second was I want to see my country win 50 medals in the Olympics. So these two drive was towards sports. And now why sports tech? As I mentioned, I was doing a consulting business in the sports industry. So I realized, I assessed all the opportunities, that what all the things happening, all the gaps, all the problem statements. And to be honest, this is my first third technology that we have built in the sports tech space. First was a celebrity shout out technology, which we were selling as a service. Next was a sports education simulator, which we sold off and for some bare minimum sum. But yeah, and this is the third technology that I felt ki we can build long term, and hence we started building. So sports tech is just something which happened to me because I was in this place. I was seeing the industry
Understood.
grow and pandemic. So that's why sports tech and Nick.
Good, good, good. So basically, so the next question is from Apache, and I think a very good one. That since generally so far we have tried to, encourage people, or in a way like try to ask them to stay away from entrepreneurship if they are doing it for the wrong reasons, right? But let's talk about in terms of like let's say if someone is really keen, or someone is at the basically at the brink of starting up, right? And if they want to see how their life will look like once they start up. So if both of you can cover around what a typical day, a typical week, a typical month in your life as a startup founder looks like. So I think that will give some perspective to the viewers.
Yeah.
Harko, you can go first.
Okay. So this is an interesting question. What does a life of a founder looks like? So we can we can find a lot of content, reels, sh- YouTube shorts, etc. of generally founders who have had a success to some level, and then they get time to show the rosy side of things. So let me talk from my experience. Let me talk about the not so rosy and the initial days of things. How
This question is
entrepreneur.
about Roji one. We have already shown non Roji picture. No
It's
worries, no
it's
worries.
all
Please go ahead.
it's all non-rosy till now. So I will
Yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
uh, the biggest problem which I faced, I was I had been a decisive person, and I have been ready to do things at a whisker and at a moment's notice. So I had that agility and flexibility in me. But what I lacked was discipline. And starting up, I realized discipline is one of the most key underrated skill one can have starting up. So starting off, let's say, so my starting most 95% of my journey, the duration wise, has been remote. First, initially, the consulting business wise, one of my founders was working out of UK and I was working out of here. So managing the timeline, etc. So it has been always remote. So most difficult problem which I faced was waking up with a motivation. Waking up with a motivation. So if one does not have a schedule made, like what will you start off with, you don't have meeting schedule, or you don't have a plan of action for the next day, so it gets difficult. So that was something which I did not do. For the last 1 year I started inculcating that particular thing, making a schedule beforehand in the previous night, and I get a motivation to wake up in the morning. So that's one thing. Discipline is like key. So how does my life look like? So uh, generally, let's start with the work hours, which has been the most debated thing, number of hours spent by an individual. So uh, honestly, it can vary from the range of 20 hours a week at early stage to 80 hours a week. So there has been a few weeks where I have spent 70 hours to 80 hours working on the startup, and there has been weeks which I have spent barely 20 hours in a week. So it can be very inconsistent in the earlier starting days. Once you have a team in place which is working from a place, and you have set up an office, you have founders you have investors and other stakeholders, external stakeholders to answer to, things gets bit different. But in the early days, the number of hours can vary. So planning and being disciplined, having a discipline is a key. And one should strive for not shooting the stars. It's not never about the idea. It's never about. It's all about the execution, and it's all about making simple and a small progress day. So all you need to make sure is, have you done more than the previous day? So now coming just to my typical week, how it looks like for the last 3 months. So I wake up in the morning, I do some exercise. So I prefer outdoor exercise. So once in a while, I go for cycling. And since the winter months have kicked in, and in Ranchi currently I'm in Ranchi since Diwali, so it's a cold place. Not going for the morning workout. So I wake up, I have my breakfast, and I start working around 10. First half of the day mostly is very slow. I have 1 or 2 max, and that too not every day of the week. Second half is the most intensive time for me. So in terms of internal works, looking after the administrative work. Second half of the day, matlab when I say second half, post lunch to 6 p.m. or something, that is totally dedicated to doing internal work and work which I am doing, and few meetings, external meetings lined up here and there. And I do have a third half, I won't say half, third part of the day, which is very extensive for me. We are currently a team of 7, and mostly tech team. And tech team, few of those team members are working somewhere full time. I'm not encouraging it, but yeah, text resources are costly. But so night time, so somewhere around after 9 p.m. to 11, I have rigorous enough work calls, talking to the tech team, doing the upgrades here and there. So this gap between 6 to 9 or 7 to 9 is something I keep for myself. And I generally, since I mentioned it's winter, so I generally go around for a walk, or if people are playing or a badminton game during those hours. And yeah, by 11 approximately, I wrap up my day, and then take an hour and a half for my me time. So like, I read once in a while, I do watch some, not series specifically, do watch some movies. I am a movie fan. So yeah, that's what my days look like uh when I'm working from home. And there are weeks which I'm traveling constantly for meetings. So let's say there's a 10 days period, I'm traveling somewhere, I line up meetings. So those days typically have 6 to 8 days, 6 to 8 meetings per day. And that's how I met Anand once. So we generally meet at some coffee place. So in Bangalore, while I was in Bangalore, Wave
Yeah,
Coffee was our go-to place for any kind of meeting. So yeah, that's how my days
awesome.
look like.
Good, Arko. So, Siddhant, if you can answer the same question, please.
So how days are spent depends on the stage at which you are. So I think the person who asked this question also mentioned how is it when you're raising funds. So mostly when you're running a startup like ours, you need some funds, you need some capital to mobilize a lot of things for you. And more or less, you're always looking to raise funds, barring a few months in between where you've just closed a round and your next round is about 2 years ahead. So you might be 5 to 6 months where you're just trying to figure a few moving parts. So, uh, but yeah, when you're actually in your fundraise mode or when you are really desperately wanting to get your rounds closed or with urgency, not if you don't use the word desperate. I think you could use two ways to go about. One is you could have someone consult you, which could be a banker, which could be a good small firm that is helped raise capital for a lot of startups. I don't think everyone is useful, but there are certain good people that you will find that would be useful, who will make the right connects and really add value. Majority of whatever little fundraising that I have done, I've managed to do it by myself, and some portion of it has been through people that I know who have helped us a lot. So I wouldn't say you can't do it by yourself. You can do it by yourself as well. But your day then typically needs to be focused on talking to the right set of people, be it through LinkedIn, be it through meetups. I'm not a big fan of meetups, very rarely go to meetups. Like 2 meetups in the last 4 weeks for me is a bit too much, because I must have been to meetups, just 1 or 2 meetups in the last 1 year fully. So I'm not a big fan, but sometimes meetups can work as well. But I think if you have to be very particular, very efficient with your outreach and have to track your outreach well. So your 50% or over 50% of your day should be about that if you're raising funds. And if you are the person responsible in your company to raise funds. Now, in my company, I'm responsible to raise funds. So when I'm raising funds, 50% of my time is there. And then the other half is very important, which is the business, right? Without having a good business, no one is going to give you funds. So I think I wouldn't have a schedule or routine to tell you or tell anyone that you should do this and that, but I'm just telling you what amount of time you need to and what are the right channels to look out for. So for me, I know LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where Anand and I got connected. LinkedIn is where my last round's lead
Yeah.
investor and I got connected. Uh, so it's and when some investor reaches out to you, that means they are very serious about. Investors would get hundreds of message requests a day. Investors like Elevation, Sequoia, these big ones would get thousands of requests a day. But if some investor is reaching out to you, that means they are on the lookout for something that you or your company is looking to do, or the field or the sector they are interested in. So yeah, LinkedIn could play a very big role. Your conversations are then focused on how you can draw inbound interest from investors. So most of your day should go in that. Then yeah, if you're not fundraising, then there will be a part B to it, which is for me, my typical routine in a day is, I don't travel to meetups, but I travel to office a lot. So yeah, I don't work remotely anymore. It's been over a year and a half since I've been at office. So we have everyone come to office. I start my day generally around 10:30, 11 from office, and an hour and a half before that from home. uh, the series of conversations that are lined up. There is series of your own work that needs to be done during the day. It's pretty much normal. There is nothing fancy, to be very honest. It's just about how well you are able to juggle between things. So, yeah, I have a much sort of tighter schedule to what I do, which is like XYZ things have to happen on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because you have weekly catch ups lined up. Then you have certain external conversations. You have certain bigger customers, clients that you are wanting to talk to every week. So that's how my week is structured. Number of hours could be 40, 100, 20. I hope I have a 20-hour work a week. But
Yeah.
anywhere between 40 to 80, 100, whatever be the number of hours. It's not good. You should not be, glorifying overwork as well. But unfortunately, that's what the situation is. Um, but but yeah, it's not that complicated as well. Work is like it's pretty structured, pretty. pretty much normal as well. So it's not always crazy.
So, just
Yeah,
adding
that's, I
to,
think, yeah,
just
please,
I will
please.
add one point to Siddhant's take. So I totally agree. 20 hours is a luxury which uh, the early stage founder, since I am at a much earlier stage than Siddhant comparatively. So I have that 20 luxury at times. So that's one thing I totally agree. Future में 20 hours is not a thing that you will have. And second thing,
Yeah,
one thing about fundraising which I realized, like this I might not have mentioned in the previous question, I should have. So, thumb rule, which I learned, first round of fundraising, at least the founding team should do it by themselves because that gives a lot of confidence and lot of belief in the business model and the capability, whatever validation to whatever they are doing. So that's a firm thumb rule I learned from the ecosystem. And just adding to Siddhant point, I just wanted to segregate and share this with the listeners.
that's good. I think very interesting point of view in terms of how the typical day or week looks like, because there is nothing typical about it. It's really depends what fires you guys are trying to tackle. And then one thing, since in the last year also, I interacted with 5 or 10 sports tech founders, and this time around, as Siddhant mentioned, that LinkedIn is very, very important, and it has helped me a lot in terms of getting in touch with the right founders, because I can't keep first searching about the company and then thinking about how to find that founder and then connect and then hope that founder accepts the request and all, because it might take time. So for me, the efficient part has been that create content around it, right? Create the right content, and LinkedIn's algorithm of any social media platform is efficient enough to take you to the right people. And I think trusting the algorithms that way is much more efficient. And that's how I have been at least able to connect with 50 plus founders. And one problem which I found, and that's my next question, is that now at least I am trying to not trying, at least I'm getting to connect with people who are working in fan engagement, who are working in, let's say, esports and gaming. But out of the 50 founders, 60 or 70% have been the people who worked in performance tech. So my question to both of you is, why is there this misconception among the sports tech founders that sports tech is equal to performance tech? And if both of you feel that this is a misconception, please feel free to contradict. But if you feel that this is a misconception, then what are the other opportunities or what are the other areas in sports tech which potential founders can look to solve problems in? So, Siddhant, we can start from you.
I think performance tech as such is a big vertical. I feel there is a big enough void for in domestic products in performance tech. I still feel that. But leaving performance tech aside, I think today people have this tendency to overcomplicate things as well sometimes. Like tech है तो AI होना चाहिए, tech है तो कुछ fancy होना चाहिए. So
Yeah,
I feel that is where everything leads to performance tech, because that is like, what are you going to do? Right? There are other hundreds of problems that you're not solving, but performance mein you are trying to take someone. So India is such a vast country. You have 11 players that play in a team in a sport like cricket, where you could have 11,000 people at the same talent level. It's that fraction of a difference, right? So performance, कितना कर लोगे आप performance tech में भी, right? You will not be able
yeah,
to do. And then the contrary is also true. That's 11,000 में से 11 लाना is you need more accurate. So yes, tech is important, and sometimes complex tech is important and needed to streamline your recruitment process, scouting process, etc. So I still feel performance discovery wise improving after discovery is still a big problem, big enough problem. But you're right, most of the people अगर tech सोचते हैं तो they take it in that direction. So I would say, leaving performance tech aside, which I again just to say it for the one last time, is important. Is we need more innovation there. Still, there are a lot of other
Yeah.
areas of improvements or void or gaps that we see. One is in the entire layer of participation. The biggest challenge today our country faces is lack of participation, a lack of a sporting culture from the bottom up. Now, how can tech play a good role, or how can your product play a role in helping that happen? Is it through community? Is it through a combination of tech and community, or is it just tech that would help you? So I feel if someone is looking at opportunity in sports and sports tech, there is a good opportunity over there. Um, Apart from that, I feel there is a good fan engagement in India is never thought of. Um, in the way you see people in the Western countries think about it. Now there are reasons to that. Um, their sporting ecosystems are much more advanced. There are fan bases already. You have clubs that are 100 150 year old. You have clubs in India which are 100 years old, but they're in either sports like kabaddi or in certain football clubs which are now not seeing a talent pathway to an ISL or something of that sort. So of course there are a lot of changes that need to be made in that. Um, uh, but still, fan engagement or fan experience is a big question mark today. The in stadia experience versus watching on TV versus the second screen experience. Like you have three, four different moving parts to the fan engagement space as well. Barring fantasy, no one has thought beyond that. To be very honest, in my opinion, in India. So,
Yeah.
and fantasy is one of the biggest engagement tools today. So I feel these two are very good spaces to be in. And third, I would say is the infrastructure space. If you are somehow able to build through tech, improvise or build or streamline sports infra in general, we are trying to do something in that space as an extension to our entire live streaming and live scoring and whatever we do. Um, we want to enhance the infra as well, which also helps us because you will be able to stream better from these venues. So the sports infrastructure space in general, be playing facilities, coaching facilities, participation increases if you are improving these two. So it's a very like my thought process is very interconnected in whatever three things that I've said. But I feel there are opportunities in these three spaces as well within the sports ecosystem, and there is a role for technology to play in all these aspects. So I feel there is a lot beyond performance, but performance in itself is a very big space as well.
Arco.
Sure. So, I will take answer this question from like how sports began and like how is it evolving right now. Sports initially began as a means of participation and means of people doing it as an entertainment, like people participating themselves. Then gradually, and during the World War, etc., during that phase, early 20th century, people were just doing sports and seeing it as a means of participation. Even Olympic sports is for amateur, is supposed to be for amateur athletes. So sports participation was the first thing which sports did. Then came the professional teams and the team managers, etc., and ticket sales, etc., came along with it. Fans came along with it. That's the second commercializing this with teams, franchises, etc. Then early 2000s, start of the this century, like sport going global. Earlier, the fans used to be the local fans. Then the sports started going global. Let's say Premier League coming to different parts of the world, or the global football due to broadcasting, internet, etc. So these are the three major eras of sports, I would say. First is for participation, just doing sports as a means of participation. Second one is sports as a franchise, etc. Commercialization of sports, and third is globalization of sports, in three different words. So India fully missed the train of active participation. The first train, India missed the train. India was still in uh, under the British reigns then. So hence, the active participation in sports is something which we lacked as a country. Then came the commercialization, etc. So yes, IPL cricket was growing. India won the World Cup around 2007. So that was the right time, and the commercialization and franchising of the things came to India. And with that came to very first in India, the purchasing power for making money out of fan engagement till today's date is very tricky. So hence fan engagement is not growing at a rate at which it is growing outside India globally. And third part is, let's say, distribution of global sports to India. So there is a lot of Premier League fans in India who pay a certain amount of, let's say, buying merchandise, going to a screening, etc., going to a once in a lifetime, going to their home ground. Let's say I going to the Manchester United Old Trafford and watching a match, something like that. People pay in that regard, but getting money from fan engagement of indigenous sports within India is still at a very nascent stage. And now to the answer about is it a myth or like why there is so much tech in the sports analytics and performance space. So India is India is not a sports playing nation. India is becoming a sports playing nation slowly and slowly. India is a sports watching nation. So the very first thing to become a sports playing nation to is to improve the opportunities for the professional athletes. And how to do that? You need to have high-end technologies to improve performance. So and to for any sports industry to evolve, sports performance, producing top quality athlete is the most proven way. And that I think a lot of technologies are there in the sports performance space. Though it may seem like a low hanging fruit, it's not. So in India, why answer to why there is a lot of sports uh, performance based technologies? That's my take on it, and that's my thought process. And coming to like where all the opportunities lies apart from this. So this is a low hanging fruit, at least seems to be a low hanging fruit. And yes, there is opportunity, but it is also a what do you say, red ocean, full crowded. External global companies are coming in the space in the for the Indian market. Where the opportunity lies? Opportunity lies. I totally agree with Siddhant on how to improve active participation, uh, participation in sports in the grassroots, and even Apache and Sumit covered in the last episode. So if someone has not watched, please do go and watch. It's on our on the Playmakers Arena page. So that's one key area where a lot of problems can be solved. And you just need to find one small problem and just concentrate on that. Not you don't need to solve for active participation as a whole. There can be small problems in general. For example, hurdle, etc. They are doing uh, taking the turfs, private playing areas, and creating a marketplace for people to participate, pay and play. So that's one example I gave. And second, fan engagement in general is still like merchandising is a very proven traditional ways of earning, doing business in the space in India. There is a lot of opportunity to make money. I would say make money. I won't say to create a business. Make some initial money out of the merchandising, etc. And Blinkit did a good job. I think Anand also got it from Blinkit. I wrote read one of his posts. But
I
yeah,
took it
Blinkit did a
from the stadium. But yeah,
oh, from the
merchandising, I
stadium.
think we have a good success story with the India jersey and Adidas.
Yes, so merchandising is a space which one can make money, but I won't create a long, sustainable, big business out of it. It's very, very tricky, capital intensive. You need to fight with the incumbents. You need to then have a good supply chain, cash intensive, low margins. A lot of problems are there, but merchandising is a good opportunity to make money. So creating problem, solving a problem and making money are two different things. First thing you need to
Yeah,
one need to answer is what do you want to do first? Do you want to start making money or do you want to start solving a problem? Uh, Fan engagement is a space which would open up gradually in coming years, if not immediately. And there is one space I am a bit hyped about. I'm a bit firm believer it will come in due time, and not just in India but in globally. The metaverse space for sports. So we all saw how metaverse came as a hype and it faltered. But mark my words, it will come back. And how to create sustainable business model out of it is something yet to be solved. Maybe someone from India can create and solve the problem for the global scale, or the global solution will come to India. So that's a space one can look out into, but it's tech intensive, and it's essentially fan engagement space. One of the good companies which did some have some success rate in it is socios.com. One can check out. So yeah, performance analytics, grassroots sports active participation, merchandising, and fan engagement are the four space. And when I say active participation, also fitness tech, healthcare, cult fit, etc. comes into the story when we
Yeah,
talk
that
about
will,
that.
I think that will go
That's
into
a
the separate direction.
yeah, that's going
So
to
I
a
think
separate
that
direction, but yeah, worth exploring. Yeah,
there is a question from thank you Arko and Siddhant for taking us through the opportunities which are there, plus what you feel in terms of sports tech, performance tech's role in the sports tech, and how it comes, where it comes in the journey of the nation, evolution of the sports tech in a nation. Now, Mr. Gopal has asked a question, and basically, what are some of the key things a founder should take care of while bootstrapping till finding the PMF? Let me answer it first. Please keep paying the salary of your team, right? Sustain. That's the main thing. And Arko and Siddhant, if you can quickly answer it, because we'll have to wrap up the call in 5 minutes. So let's try to answer as many as questions possible.
sure,
So
sure.
let's keep it short now.
Yeah, should I?
Okay, I'll go first, no
Okay,
problem.
Siddharth, please, please. Yeah.
Key things that one should take care of while bootstrapping is be be very focused on achieving, like as you mentioned, from find like bootstrap till finding the PMF. So if you are looking to find PMF, just go for that. Don't get distracted.
Hi, my answer is create a prototype. Different depends upon the kind of business. Not necessarily you need to find product market fit with bootstrap itself. You can go for first round even without product market fit, but get some traction. Try some business model which is showing some promise, showing some value. So the key important thing is to get some traction, finding one particular problem, creating one particular solution for it, getting some traction, some validation, and then taking it to the investors. It can be even without the product market fit, because product market fit can take much time. It can take shorter time also. This the one thing which you mentioned is ideal, but yeah, that's my take on it.
Sure, sure. The next one from Gopal is, why are sports community platforms not doing that good in India? Gopal, you want to give some context because I didn't understand. In case Siddhant and Arko, you have understood it, you can take up the question.
Are there any specific sports community platform? Like I'm not
Yeah,
aware
that's
of
what I
it.
asked.
Yeah.
That's what I asked. Gopal, can you please unmute yourself and let us know?
Sports app. It's
Ah,
like
okay. Okay, I
uh
will give the answer quickly because I have interacted with Arpit, and see, there are two things. Whenever you are starting any business, be it in any particular area, you should create some value. And that value has to be in terms of either you are solving some existing problem or you are bringing some new perspective or some new value creation, right? So, in case of Sport app, I think that was missing. That's what I thought. And because although the founders are confident that PMF has been achieved, but I don't think it had been achieved. Very quickly, Arko Siddhant.
Two lines. I have just two lines. One is there is no particular moat which is there in the community ecosystem. And we were discussing last day in the group, I think in the main players at the group, that community can be built alongside with a core proposition. Let's say an
Yeah,
OTT platform building it community, something like that. Community first approach there would be one success out of hundreds, but there would be 99 failures. So community only approach is very tricky because everyone wants to do that. There would be one big
Siddhant,
success, but yeah,
Playmakers Arena will be that.
that's
Uh,
true.
community. I don't know the answer to this because I don't have enough data to give this answer. But but yeah, it's difficult to make success in community and social media in general. Like social platforms are difficult to crack. So
Yeah.
but I won't know the answer to this yet,
I
to
think,
be
see, the
honest.
difficult part is, in my opinion, is monetizing the communities. Building communities might not be that hard.
Yeah,
How you are monetizing it, because let's say Bharat Army, they have built a great community, right? Now, maybe after 10 years, they are thinking about monetizing it in some way or form. So I think building community is not hard. Monetizing it might be. Then I think Roni has a question. Just a sec. What is the gap in the fan engagement part in India using tech? Siddhant?
Purchasing power. Simple answer, purchasing power.
Yeah,
Indians
Siddhant.
don't have enough money after saving, etc. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that is one for sure. But I think the gap in fan engagement today is, uh, I think there's a lack of foresight as well from a lot of
Yeah, mindset.
I think it's a mindset problem as well. So I think that needs to change.
Yeah,
Tech will come on top of that. Long way to go.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the same. I resonate with what Siddhant saying. I think it's so, like, let's say the people who have even money in terms of like the biggest federations of the country, who have the purchasing power to take that tech, they don't have the mindset right now because the fans are flocking. They'll start doing it once that stops. So I think at this point our podcast might end at any point in time, and I think we should end it. I would like to thank Siddhant and Arko for taking out the time, and to everyone else for joining us. Any last
thank you
Thank you.
guys.
words?
Thanks.
No,
Thanks
that would be
everyone.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having.
guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.